Hi, Mark here. I want to go over today exactly how you can win more bids guaranteed. And the secret is that it's all about your overhead. So let's take a look. So inside here, what we're going to be talking about here today is how to win more bids guaranteed. Never use a percentage for overhead costs in your bids. You just don't want to do it, okay? And the reason it is you want to use a rate per hour. It's very, very important. And we're going to go over exactly why that is and why you never want to use that percentage for overhead in your estimates. It's going to increase your profits. I'm going to clearly show on this video exactly how that's actually possible. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, before I jump in here, I just wanted to just tell you a little bit who I am in case you don't know. Most people know me from myoverhead.com. I've been helping business owners since 2001 to learn about overhead costs and reveal the true profit potential. I've been featured in newspapers all around the country, including all these that you see here. So, why overhead rate per hour? Let's just talk about this and look at it with two different job comparisons. Now, these jobs have the same material costs and the same labor hours. So, just remember that same material costs, same labor hours. So, let's take a look at what we're going to be looking at on the two jobs. We have customer A. We have total hours is 1,000 hours, and the total job cost is $50,000 in this example. Now, this could be 5,000, 50,000, 500,000. It really doesn't matter. The importance here is to look at what the percentage does versus the hourly rate for overhead, what it does. So let's, for keeping the math simple, let's just say overhead is at 10%, okay, for this customer. Now, he's going to use 10% across the board for all of his bids, what he's doing. Now, let's take a look at the customer B, and he's same as 1,000 hours. Job total cost on this first job is 50,000, same as customer A. Now, what we've done with this guy is we figured out his overhead is $10 per hour. One guy uses a percentage, one guy uses an hourly rate. They might have the exact same overhead, but how he applies it is by a percentage, and how contractor or customer B here applies it is with an hourly rate. So let's take a look now what this also, the second job for customer A or contractor A, trade contractor, electrical, plumbing, it doesn't matter. Total hours 1,000 hours, and the job cost on this one is 200,000. How is that possible? Well, maybe this one up here for 50,000, maybe the owner supplying most of the material, and on this one you're supplying all the material, and it's real high-end material cost for this one. So, but the 1,000 hours is still there. Whether it's 200,000 up here and the owner's supplying most of the material and you're just basically supplying labor, and down here it's material and labor, and it's a real high material package. But overhead factored at 10%. And again, if we look at this next one, overhead is factored at $10 per hour. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper here and see what it is that we're talking about. Why rate per hour versus overhead percentage for overhead, why, and which one is better. So let's look at customer A and customer B. So if we're looking at this, same job cost, you can see both jobs, 1,000 hours each, 50,000. So let's take a look. So first one, overhead at 10%, $5,000. Overhead at $10 an hour. Remember, it's 1,000 hours for the job, so it's $10,000 is what this contractor would be actually estimating this at. So if you look at profit at 10%, okay, that's another whole subject, but let's just say 10% for profit on this one's 5,000. 10% for profit on this one is 6,000. We added that to this $10,000. That's how I would normally do it. But whether you did it this way or you just did 10% of the 50,000 at $5,000, it really doesn't matter. I recommend adding profit on top of the overhead. But in this case, it'd be total bid is 66,000. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we got, if we look at this, total bid 60,000, this one's 66,000, but customer A or contractor A won this job. He won it. Now, what happened about this guy? He lost the job. It's a loser. All right? But who was the real winner here? If you look, because the profit at 5,000, we already know these two customers have the exact same amount of overhead. So if you're using a percentage, customer or contractor A did not cover all of his overhead costs in this example. He's $5,000 short, so his profit margins are actually zero. He doesn't have any profit in this job, because if his overhead technically is $10,000, his break even on this job is $60,000, not $55,000. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Because the real cost over here, 50 plus $10,000, his real cost in this job is actually $60,000. And this one over here, he thinks he's making profit with $5,000, but in reality, he's not. That's why it's at zero here. So the true winner in this one is actually contractor B, or customer B here. Now, let's look at this in job number 2. Let's take a look at job number 2 now. So if we look at this, job number 2, customer A is using 10%, customer B is using $10 per hour, and it's a $200,000 job, 1,000 hours each. Let's look at this. Overhead at 10% is $20,000, right? Well, overhead at $10 an hour is $10,000, right? $10,000. So this $200,000, we're at $10,000 for overhead at $10 an hour. And that means this 10% is actually overbidding this job. He's at $240,000. This guy's at $231,000. Contractor B is at $231,000. So what's that mean? We can add an additional $8,000 in profit onto this job. Okay, because remember, our overhead's covered at $10,000. And if we know what the competition's doing, which a lot of the competition out there is doing at 10%, 10%, like you see here on customer A or contractor A, so they have a selling price of $240,000. If we're at $231,000, we know we can increase that bid up by another $8,000 or $9,000, one of the two. And we can sit there and now see that we undercut this. If we got $8,000 in profit at that $21,000, so now our total bid is $239,000. So we undercut the other competition by $1,000, and guess what? We ended up, this guy lost the job because he bid too high using that percentage method. And then contractor B, guess what? He won the job because he was $1,000 under. So if we do a comparison here, we can see that the profit margin on this was $21,000 plus $8,000, and the total profit was $29,000. And you can see that he won the job and he also increased his profits. Now, let's do a side-by-side comparison. Contractor A, he won this first job, but guess what? His profits are not actually there. He lost. Remember, it's at zero, okay? Because his true break-even cost is actually at $60,000, so there was no profit left for this one. And then on the second job, he was too high. He lost this one. So this contractor A was a loser in both instances using as a percentage for overhead. And in contractor B, he won both, or he lost this job, but he was still clearly the winner because he didn't take that job too low and ended up costing money. I tell people all the time, I'd rather you sit on a beach for the next year, at least enjoy yourself while you're going broke. It does not make any sense to work all year for nothing. It really don't. Okay, so one of the things, this is one of the biggest things that I always get in my consult sessions when I'm talking to customers, or when they're actually, I'm helping them with the software, okay, myoverhead.com. But this is what we see all the time, contractors making this mistake. Now, if you would like a free training that reveals all this, we go over absolutely everything, how to calculate out your overhead and hourly rate, your burden cost, your break-even cost, your efficiency rates. All you have to do is go to myoverhead.com/replay. It's a free, completely free video. If you go to myoverhead.com/replay, let me show you what you're going to come to. You're going to come to this page right here, how to instantly master overhead costs to fully unlock profit margin increases, even if you personally have zero accounting skills. I show you everything. All you do is click on this play button here, and then you can watch the video. If you haven't ever signed up before, it's going to ask you to just put in your name and your email in there, just so we know who's actually watching this. But that's it. All you do is click on play, and you can fast forward this and rewind it. You can see here where we're actually at in the video, okay? This video is about an hour and 10 minutes long, but I promise you it will be the best hour and 10 minutes you ever had in your life, because it's going to show you exactly how to calculate all your costs and know exactly what you have to do when it comes to making money in your actual bids. Now, at the end, If you want to stay longer, I share with you our software that we have. It makes things so much easier. That's an option for you. If you guys need that one-on-one hand-holding, I like to say, okay, where we want me to help you get your numbers in here, plus also help you with your business, we offer consulting services as well. But this is 100% free here. Just come here and go to myoverhead.com/replay and watch this video, and it's going to teach you everything you want to know about your overhead. Okay?